Here is why the cryptocurrency market is selling off and when we should look at buying those dips. Still to the moon, baby! So yes, the cryptocurrency sector is stuck within a bear market right now. And as you can see, just using Bitcoin as a base case for sort of the overall market sentiment, after those all-time highs that we printed up in November, breaching just above 69,000, as I say, in November, we have been very much falling quite aggressively somewhat. Now, I want to cover, before I break things down technically and speak more into detail about what we're seeing on the chart and when to potentially buy these dips, I want to speak about the key fundamental reasons as to why we are coming under pressure for the cryptocurrency market. Now, the first thing I want to speak about, factor one, is the FOMC. So for those that don't know, the FOMC is the central bank of the United States, right? Now, back in March 2020, when, well, it was between January to March 2020, when the pandemic was full blown, COVID hit the world, economies were closing down, so central banks needed to take action to try and cushion the blow, these damaging impacts it's going to have on major economies. So what did central banks do? They quickly lowered interest rates, made them as low as possible. And then also they started pumping loads of money into the economy. Free money was going out. Banks having all this cash, giving out cheap lending to consumers so that we would borrow, and still spend.
Ladies, you know what this means.
And try and keep the economy afloat and stabilize. So now, because we're starting to see improvements in the economy, right? This is the Federal Reserve, by the way. Because we're now starting to see improvements in the overall global economy and in the US, the Federal Reserve are what's known as now tightening monetary policy. So, just want to show you here actually quickly before I talk about the effects of tightening monetary policy. Look here, this was the initial downfall that we had. And this wasn't just seen in Bitcoin, this was seen in general riskier assets. Stocks were hit hard. Oil was hit hard. So big crash here for Bitcoin in terms of the price. At the time, falling from around that $10,000 mark. And look, we spiked down to like 3.8K before bouncing. Now, why do we start bouncing? As I explained, all that money getting pumped into the economy, the action from global central banks such as the FOMC. Now, just at the time of recording, by the way, this is just ahead of the central bank's actual meeting we've got this month where they're starting to position the markets for raising interest rates. Now, this is where, and this is the factor now, just to get into detail, why we're seeing Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in general sell off. Because the Federal Reserve are now going to start positioning the market for raising interest rates. Remember, rates have been low. Now, interest rates are going to start to rise. Now, what does that mean? The rates on government bonds, okay, which is as fixed income, it's safe as houses, safe as your house that you live in. I hope so anyway. Government bonds, you get a return on that. You get a yield, okay? Whether it's 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever the case may be. Where the Federal Reserve are going to start raising rates, that will raise the return that investors get on government bonds.
I'm rich!
So people like to put their money in government bonds as a safe investment, right? You know that when you put your money there, nothing's going to happen to it. You're going to get a nice stable return over the year, and obviously compound those gains, so on and so forth. So now the Federal Reserve are raising. People are like, let's take our money. What we get is outflows from a lot of riskier assets, and people start, they want to diversify. If anything, they want to put more money into the safest asset that's going to give them a fixed return. So cash is coming out of stocks, cash is coming out of Bitcoin, cash is coming out of cryptocurrencies in general, and people gearing up to start putting their money in government bonds because they're going to get a safe return. It isn't as risky as cryptocurrencies. Obviously, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin offer an amazing potential upside for us, but that's what's happening. We're getting outflows of riskier assets such as Bitcoin and inflows into government bonds as the Federal Reserve starts positioning the economy, positioning the world for raising interest rates. Okay, so that's our first factor. Let's get onto our second factor, and that is general fears, okay? General worldwide crackdown fears. So the first thing I want to know, this is within recent times. We had Singapore, okay? So crypto ATMs halted in Singapore after marketing clampdown. So one visible reminder for Singaporeans, rising appetite for digital tokens are being closed down as the city-state moves to dramatically limit consumer marketing of crypto. Essentially, the authorities there just think it's too easy for the everyday person, someone that may not be educated on cryptocurrencies, to just easily go to the ATM and start investing, essentially, start being able to convert their currency into crypto. And then they feel like the advertising, it can be misleading, so on and so forth. So it's a bit of a crackdown. And bear in mind, the economy in Singapore is very friendly to cryptocurrency. So this was a bit of a shock, a bit of a blow in the stomach for the crypto world. And then also we had Russia. This has been played down a lot now, but Russia proposing a ban on the use of mining of cryptocurrencies. So Russia, the central bank, proposed banning the use of and mining of cryptocurrencies on Russian territory. As I say, there's been a big uproar with a lot of key, with politicians even in Russia, so on and so forth. Don't think this is gonna happen, but again, it spooked the market. So another reason to potentially sell and start seeing some pressure for obviously Bitcoin and its peers. And then lastly as well, we had obviously the world leaders meeting, annual meeting in Davos. Oh, beautiful over there in Davos. I'd love to head over myself. But the Indian PM was speaking, and he called for governments worldwide to collaborate on cryptocurrency. Essentially what he was, white spook people, essentially just calls for tighter regulations, for tighter rules around the cryptocurrency. So that again spooked the market. So it's just general worldwide crackdown fears. And then, of course, as well, before we start taking a look at everything technically, Bitcoin just needed to see some profit taking. It needed a bit of a correction. Look, we had a nice bull run from July. Look how stable that is. Dips being bought quite aggressively and just pushing to the north. So profit taking needed, people needing to close out anyway at the end of the year, ready to pay taxes, so on and so forth, okay? So it's going to take me on to my next point now, and I want to explain market cycles. Now, before we get onto market cycles, I just wanted to present an opportunity to you, which I'm sure you'll want to hear. Now, I've got all the details here so I don't miss anything, but as I'm sure you're aware, I am the brand new ambassador of CoinCasso. Now, I have an opportunity, an open enrollment opportunity for you to invest, become a partner in the exchange for just a small amount from £10, right? Now, as I'm sure you're aware, cryptocurrencies and tokens in general, of course, they go up and down. But regardless of whether they gain or lose, it's the crypto exchange that earns, from each transaction, right? When people buy, the crypto exchange earns. When people sell, bang, the cryptocurrency exchange earns. And that's why investing in a crypto exchange is such a cool option, a cool solution. Now, every regular trader can invest in crypto and many tokens, but this will be the first and unique solution where everybody can partially own an exchange. So we have a waiting list, by the way, guys, where you can already sign up and wait for this opportunity to invest in CoinCasso Exchange. And you're provided perks, many nice benefits and NFTs. So please do click the link in the description if you want to participate in that, because it's one certainly not to miss. Market cycles. All asset classes have them. For example, in a stock market, right? We're moving aggressively to the north. We're in a bull market, trending to the upside, going to the moon. We can't just expect this to happen forever. We have to go through a market cycle. So after a prolonged bull run, we need to see people, investors, retail market, institutional players, so on and so forth, cashing out on their profits.
Hey, I'm rich! 350,000 naira. Me alone.
So what we start to see is a bit of a snowball effect. As people taking profits, we're seeing a needed correction in the market after just heading in one direction. So then that invites a bear market, right? Then what happens in a bear market after we've been falling for a prolonged period of time? Bargain hunting. People buy those dips. They see all these cheap assets going, the market is sale time. Let's start buying up those bargains. So that's exactly what we've been seeing, obviously, in the cryptocurrency market. It's going through its own cycle after that nice big bull run. Now, if you look actually around 4 years ago, we were actually in a bear market. And then guess what? Bargain hunting came in, we bought the dip, and then we've been headed to the moon. We've since printed all-time, record highs for a lot of these tokens. So that's just all it is, going through these market cycles. So don't panic. So now, just want to take a look at Bitcoin technically, just as a base case to show you some of these moves, how they made sense on a technical perspective, and obviously tying in hand in hand with those fundamentals I mentioned at the start of the video. Now, you can see here with Bitcoin, it's been really nice actually to margin trade. If your fingers have been on the pulse with this, you could have made some money margin trading this as well, right? What we did, as you can see here on the daily chart, those are familiar with chart patterns, we had a left shoulder here. This started to form in August, right? Left shoulder, and this is our neckline. Here's the head. Okay, forming from October to November, and then again touching this trend line and forming a right shoulder. Now look here, just as we were testing this right shoulder, guess what we're forming? One of my favorites. Those who know me, okay, know I'm really profitable, as I've put before many strategies out with pennants. So this was a pennant here, forming, narrowing price action, then a nice big breakout to the downside, inviting a wave of selling pressure there, a break of that neckline, retested that downside. Playing out for this head and shoulder structure. And then again, look, a pullback. This is where we can really take advantage of margin trading. We formed a flag structure here. Again, breakout, retest, further selling. And now what we're doing is going for a big retest just at the time of recording here for that psychological 40K mark. Where obviously you can see, if you look, this my zone's being marked up. Look, this is obviously previously a demand zone. Broke through that, retested, supply, rejection, sell. Supply, rejection, sell. And then obviously breakout, retest, managing to get back above that supply zone. Now new demand, look, supporting, demand, buy, demand. And then finally breakout. Now we're getting a retest. So are we going to get rejections there? This is obviously supply. We can see that psychological 40K mark where we may get another correction and see us. For me, ideally, I did want the price heading deep down within this 30K territory to then start seeing some big buying come into play and institutions getting in, some bargain hunting there. That's what I was hoping, okay? So obviously we'll see if that plays out or not, right, guys? And obviously don't take this as financial advice. This is just my opinion, technically, what we have observed and what we're observing right now. And maybe what we do end up doing here is forming another potential flag structure as we go and retest this 40K mark, and eventually that this rally, this pullback is sold, and then we head into that sort of 30K area. So that's just what I'm seeing there technically for Bitcoin. So that's to summarize why exactly we're seeing this cryptocurrency market sell off, the fundamental factors there and how it tied in. You saw on the chart as we use Bitcoin as a base case, technically the chart pattern there as well. Now with this sell off, it presents opportunity. I'm rubbing my hands together every morning. I'm waking up excited, just looking at all the bargains right now, because there's a number, there's a number of game-changing projects out there, and excuse the pun actually, but certainly in the gaming sector as well, the metaverse, a number of projects that I'm looking at, and obviously I can dive deeper into those in future videos. What I want you to do, firstly, don't forget the enrollment opportunity to invest and become, a part owner in the exchange of CoinCasso. An amazing opportunity there, many perks and benefits for you. So after you've done that, then what I want you to do, I want you to spam this video. Make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and spam in the comments. Tell me what sort of content you want, what sort of coins you want reviewed, what do you want to see from me. Go to the CoinCasso Instagram, go to my Instagram, spam in the comments, any pictures that you see, and tell me what you want to see from me. Other than that, to the moon, baby. Let's get it.